Madhukaillya. I'm one of the award-winning Dissemination Collective from India, and I stay in northeast part of India, which is this corner which is between like Bhutan, Myanmar, Bangladesh, and this is not quite a direct response to what I'm going to do today, but somewhere this is what we have been working, and I'm going to do something unusual. I'm sorry if it doesn't become very coherent thing, but this is something I want to share something very honestly. The whole idea of Northeast India is a very colonial construct. So it's still, in India it's called Northeast India. It's kind of an Irish, in England it's kind of an Irish situations. The Northwest, which was earlier Pakistan and Afghanistan, has disappeared, but the whole idea of Northeast India still exists. So basically, usually the author or the interpreter is an agent of a dominant social code. The interpretation reproduces the material it considers as instances of the code. The desire to escape such codification, for codification we usually employ the word territorialization. The desire to decode or to deterritorialize seems particularly crucial for minorities who want to remain minorities and affirm perspectives that are not those of the cultures they inhabit. All of us suffer from interpretation. What is at stake is not a matter of liberation as opposed to submission. It is a matter of line of flight, escape, and exit, outlet. The desire to evade interpretation is not a desire to be against interpretation. It's just to negate it. So what I'm going to do, instead of presenting myself as a fake philosopher, I would share 4 entries from my notebooks. And actually this was also the title of our first exhibition about 12 years ago, and this has not been. So what I'm going to do is these 4 entries are going to be primarily First entry, April 2002. I returned from Ahmedabad to Guwahati, my hometown, along with the copy of Anti-Oedipus, Schizophrenia and Capitalism. Deleuze soon became the schizoanalyst to us through the Minnesota press edition. There were many questions, many uncertainties. I quote, as I write, highly civilized human beings are flying overhead, trying to kill me. They do not feel any enmity against me as an individual, nor I against them. They are only doing their duty. As the saying goes, most of them, I have no doubt, are kind-hearted, law-abiding men who would never dream of committing murder in private life. On the other hand, if one of them succeeds in blowing me to pieces with a well-placed bomb, he will never sleep any the worse for it. He's serving his country, which has the power to absolve him from evil. We're escaping from our old borders, running away from those acts of special powers. Many questions. What all this flows means. We may accommodate many voices to be part of our voice. There's no way this percepts noises we're trying to illustrate with philosophical hypothesis, but at some point, all these are going to be part of new language of defining our realities. It will be great to see language history deterritorializing itself by allowing flow of images, codes, becoming a means or new ways of creating newer concepts. Art starts with territorial marks. These do not refer back neither to a subject or a sensation which captures them and present them as marks, nor to an object, which will just be nothing more than an expression of marks. Self-preservation of the sensation in art as an autonomous block of sensations. The work of art is a being of sensation. Sensations, percepts, affects are beings whose validity lies in themselves and exceeds any limit. This could be said to exist in the absence of man, because man, as he is caught in stone on the canvas or by the walls, is himself a compound of percepts and effects. The work of art is being of sensation and nothing else. It exists in itself. The uprooting of the pure affect and percept from the whole subjective sphere is a process of distillation of the sensation. The becoming inhuman, the becoming color, the becoming cry or pure sound of man. In order to deal with these inconsistencies of sensation inside the brain, the microprocesses of change moving within, affirming these signals, noises self-create some sort of ensemble or assemblage or automatic movements. Digital technologies offer the possibility of capturing, storing and manipulating movement, abstracting it from the body and transforming it into numerical information, which has also helped to escape the Eurocentric history formations. Histories are not written with people's memories. History has put memory at the service of colonization. The possibility of winds buffeting the living with the memories of the pre-conquest pagans can stand as mnemonic images of historical modes of memory production and reproduction. Second scene, 2006, banks of Brahmaputra, which is also known as Changho in Tibet. Memory as autobiography, as impression, as data, as art, as image, as technology, as representation, and explore the above hypothetical situation and use it as a point of departure for the exploration of the technologies of memory. A phrase which contemporary cultural historian Mriganka Madhukaillya uses to identify the cultural products which assist in both individual and cultural memory. Memories are manipulated to fit our life history, our own views about ourselves. They are also manipulated by society in which external information is transmitted to us. In these days of reduced internal memory, we need to be aware of the ways in which information can be used to impact on how we perceive the world, how structure of memory changes when the condition of political economy of memory changes from collective memory to individual private memories. September 2008, we started collecting sounds from this forest in Meghalaya, another eastern state in India, which was protected and believed by the community to be a living spirit. We tried to summon false memories by a forest soundscape. By the way, this forest was also installed in 2010 in Berlin, in Unter-den-Linden. The work questions the notion of materiality in terms of the taboos and if taking sounds fall within the scope of the belief. It draws from the sounds collected from Lokin Tan, the sacred forest in Meghalaya that has emerged as unique ecological system based on a traditional belief system and not on any law or regulation. Here, destruction of any plant or animal life or taking any object from this forest is forbidden. Sacred is equivalent of a technological sound map that replaces colonial map making. The figure of map of map, historically associated with colonial imperialism, has gradually grown into a privileged trope of contemporary art, which articulates it either as personal cartography, as an ethnographic map of a community or institution, thus revealing the complexity of the relationships within this, or even by evoking its constitutive power, a map of becoming that traces the people to come. So this is the map. Code is described as many things. It is a cultural logic, machinic operation, or a process that is unfolding, it is becoming. Today's hegemonic metaphor, inspiring quasi-semiotic investigations within cultural and artistic practices. Yet, yes, it has become a narrative, a genre, a structural feature of contemporary society, an architecture for our technologically controlled societies, and a tool of technocracy and of capitalism and law. It is both metaphor and reality. It serves as a translation between different discourses and spheres. DNA code, computer code, code as law, cultural code, aristocratic code, encrypted code. Only way to preserve, while struggling to find a sanity or escape the illusion of coherence in these crazy aberrations, one dear friend reminded me of the ancient Greek aphorism, know thyself, transliterated, not his you taught. October 2015, probably only way to preserve the self would be to becoming. A fabric is torn when touched. One says yes to a life that wants to move higher to negation. To say yes, to say no, the mighty hocus pocus of existence. It swings to the nerves of the true perplexed. He lies like this, he hunts like this, he cycles like this, half here, half there, laughs and laughs. We are the future in the word and image for the perplexed happening in the world. It doesn't end here, it goes along the life amidst perplexity. Through life, we celebrate uncertainty and doubts. We have always been a larva goat. I conclude with something from Invisible Committee. We have taken the time to write with the hope that others would take the time to read. Writing is a vanity unless it's for a friend, including the friend one doesn't know yet. In the coming years, we'll be wherever the fires are lit. During the periods of respite, we are not that hard to find. We'll continue the effort of clarification we have begun here. There will be dates and places where we can mass our forces against logical targets. There will be dates and places for meeting up and debates and debating. We don't know if the insurrection will have the look of a heroic assault or if it will be pantry feet of crime. a sudden expression of feeling after decades of anesthesia, misery, and stupidity. Nothing guarantees that the fascist option would be preferred to revolution. We'll do what there is to be done. Thinking, attacking, building, such is our fabulous agenda. This is the beginning of a plan. See you soon.